Dear students, now let us see how a fluid moves. Suppose water is released from a reservoir into canal. How the water flows? Does the water moves as a whole, like a brick, like a solid? For example, let us look at this solid. If you apply force on it, it moved from here to here. As a whole, it moved. But does the fluid moves like this? See, when you are moving, each and every part of the brick will have move with same velocity. In case of fluid also, is it possible? Now let us see that. Here you can see the arrow marks. Here water is flowing in a canal, and when it is flowing in a canal, water moves as if it is made of several horizontal layers placed one over another. The lowermost layer just see, you can let us see how it is. So it is like this. See, layer wise. In a canal, the water is moving as if it is composed of horizontal layers like this. The bottom layer just wets the earth surface. Over that there will be another layer moving with say 1 meter per second velocity. Over that the layer will have 2 meter per second velocity, and over that this layer moves with 3 meter per second velocity, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. As you move upward, the layers move with increased velocities. Different layers move with different velocities. Here a fluid, it can be a glycerine, an oil, or honey, is taken on a glass plate, and over that another glass plate is kept, and this is kept on a table surface. The bottom glass plate is held fixed, its velocity is 0, and the upper glass plate is gently moved by applying shear force. Suppose the upper glass plate is moving with a constant velocity. Then what happens? Initially, the position of the fluid element was shown by the dotted boundary. See here. When you started moving the glass plate, see its rectangle shape has changed into parallelogram shape, and here you can see the once you look at this, you are reminded of shear strain. It has undergone shear strain, and here the displacement is shown delta x. And in case of solids, the shear strain was constant, but here you are moving the glass plate with constant velocity, you are moving on, therefore the displacement also increases with time, and here arrow marks are shown here. So each arrow mark stands for velocity, and its length shows the magnitude. It means what? As you move from downward to upward, the velocity is increasing. So between the two glass plate, you have taken a fluid element, and that fluid element is not moving with a single velocity. It is behaving as if it is composed of several horizontal layers, and each layer is moving with its own velocity. The bottom layer is moving with less velocity, and as you are going up, they are moving with increased velocities, and the topmost layer will move since it is in touch with the upper glass plate, it will move with glass plate velocity. Similarly, now let us consider flow of fluid in a pipe. When it is moving through pipe, how it moves? See here, numbers are given to the layers. Since pipe is having cylindrical shape, so inside the pipe, the fluid layers also have cylinder shape. The outermost layer just touches the pipe wall. Therefore, its velocity will be zero because pipe is held fixed. It is stationary. Therefore, the outermost layer which just wets the wall of the pipe, it will have zero velocity, and next layer moving with 1 meter per second velocity. Next, say 2, 3, 4, 5. In this way, layer velocity gradually increasing. And here, this layer is along the axis of the pipe. That is, when you are moving from wall surface to axis, from this side or from this side, as you are moving from wall surface to axis of the pipe, the layer velocity is increasing, and at the axis it is having maximum velocity, and the same is shown here. Instead of looking at this diagram, if you look at this diagram, it can be understood very well. See, this is the pipe, and from the pipe the horizontal fluid layers are coming out with different velocities. See, closer to the pipe is having small velocity, and you are moving toward axis, the velocity is gradually increasing, and at axis it is having maximum velocity. So in this way fluid is moving. See what we understood, fluid is not moving with a single velocity. First of all, while moving it is behaving as if it is composed of different layers. And second point, and the different layers are moving with different velocities. Here here the arrow marks show the direction is flow direction, and length is speed. Length stands for magnitude of the speed. So as you move up, speed is increasing, and the flow of water is in the same direction, but different layers are moving with different velocities, and perpendicular to the flow direction velocity is increasing. With distance from earth surface, velocity is changing. So here we define a physical quantity called velocity gradient. Velocity gradient means change in velocity with height or distance. Suppose this is earth surface, this is moving with 1 meter per second, this 2, 3, 4, 5. Like this the velocity is gradually increasing. Now height of the layers is shown here. Height of the layers is shown here. Now how velocity gradient is defined? Change in velocity with height. Change in velocity with height. That is v2 minus v1 by y2 minus y1. Let us choose two layers side by side. Suppose here A layer, this is A layer, this is B layer. So this A layer is having velocity v1 is equal to 3 meter per second, and B layer is having a velocity v2 that is 4 meter per second. This A layer is at a height of 3 centimeters. So the height is y1. y1 is equal to 3 centimeters. And this B layer is at a height of y2 is equal to 4 centimeter. Now shall we calculate the velocity gradient? So velocity gradient is equal to v2 minus v1 by y2 minus y1. Here 4 minus 3 by 4 minus 3 by here 4 height also y2 minus y and 4 minus 3. So this is 4 minus 3 means 1 meter per second. Here height 4 minus 3 means 1 centimeter. So here 1 meter means 100 centimeter by second into here 1 by centimeter. Centimeter gets cancelled. So here we got 100 by second. So this is velocity gradient. This is velocity gradient. So velocity gradient is nothing but change in velocity with distance from a fixed surface. So what is its SI unit? Its SI unit is velocity gradients. SI unit is, see here second is in the denominator, therefore second inverse, that is its SI unit. Now its dimensional formula m power 0, L power 0, T power minus 1. That's all. Now let us consider another thing. So if a fluid is moving like this, so now let us consider a layer, say A layer, which is moving with 3 meter per second velocity. Above that layer, the fluid layer is having 4 meter per second velocity. So this layer tries to increase its velocity, and below this layer we find another layer moving with 2 meter per second velocity, and this layer tries to decrease its velocity. See, once again, this layer tries to increase its velocity, whereas this layer tries to decrease its velocity. Anyhow, if you take two adjacent layers, for example A layer and B layer, if you take two adjacent layers, since they are moving with different velocities, there is a relative velocity. When they are moving in same direction, we take relative velocity as difference between the velocities. So 4 minus 3, 1 meter per second velocity. That means relative velocity means compared to A layer, B layer is moving with 1 meter per second. Compared to it is moving with 3, it is moving with 4. Compared to this, it is moving with 1 more. So that is relative speed. So there is a relative speed of 1 meter per second between this layer and this layer. Similarly, between this layer and this layer. So there is relative motion between any two adjacent layers. There is relative motion between any two adjacent layers. Now once let us go to the motion of the solid. Here on a table surface a block is kept and it is pulled with some force. When it is pulled with some force, the contact surface between the block and table, it offers resistance to its motion. This surface offers some resistance. So that resistance is expressed by expressing some force in opposite direction, and this opposing force is called friction. This opposing force is called friction. So there is friction between table surface and this object surface, and this opposing force is called force of friction. Just like this, See here, the force of friction is between two solid surfaces. Just like this, here between two liquid layers, we find an opposing force. Just now I told you that a layer moving with 3 meter per second velocity tries to stop the upper layer which is moving with 4 meter per second velocity. So to oppose that, this must apply some force in opposite direction to this direction. So in opposite direction it applies some force, and that force is called force of viscosity, or that is called as viscous drag. Between any two adjacent layers, we can see an opposing force, and that opposing, whenever there is relative motion between two layers, see here also we defined the same thing. Whenever there is relative motion between floor and the object, then the force of friction is produced to oppose the relative motion. Just like that, here, since there is relative motion between two adjacent layers, a force of friction is produced. But here we don't use the word friction. Here, instead of friction, we use the word viscosity. But the viscosity is nothing but friction. And when there is relative motion between two adjacent layers of a fluid, a force of friction called viscosity is produced, and that force of viscosity opposes the relative motion. So if the viscous force opposes the relative motion, what should happen? See, then the relative motion should disappear. The change in velocity should become. If a specific layer of a liquid is taken, the layer below it, moving with lesser velocity, tries to decrease the velocity of upper layer due to cohesive forces between the molecules of adjacent layers. Cohesive force means force of attraction between like molecules. Here we are considering water moving in a river. So here all the molecules are water molecules, and there exists the force of attraction between water molecules. So here, because of force of attraction between these two layers, this layer with lesser velocity tries to decrease the velocity of the upper layer. In turn, the upper layer, which is moving with greater velocity, tries to increase the velocity of the lower layer. Thus, between parallel successive layers of a liquid in motion, opposing force comes into play, tending to decrease the relative velocity between the layers. So, because of friction between successive layers, the relative velocity decreases. This force is called viscous drag. It appears as if a tangential shearing force is acting between the layers. See here. So this layer with lower velocity is trying to decrease its velocity. How? by applying a force in opposite direction to its motion, that is in this direction, and the force is parallel to the surface of the flow, parallel to the surface of the fluid layer. The fluid layers are um, plane surfaces like this. For example, they are like this. Similarly, this layer is a plane surface. Sorry, this is also a layer. So these are the plane layers. So this plane layer moving with 3 meter per second velocity is trying to decrease its velocity by applying a force in opposite direction, and that force is parallel to the surface of the fluid layer. When force is parallel to the surface of the fluid layer, we say that force is called as shear force. Shear force. It appears as if a tangential shearing force is acting between the layers. So, to overcome these shearing forces and to maintain constant velocity between the layers, an external force must be applied. If there is no external force, the velocity of flow decreases and becomes zero. See here, the same thing we observed in case of friction also in earlier chapter. Suppose a vehicle is moving with 10 meter per second velocity. You do one thing, you stop the engine. It should move with same velocity in the straight line if there is no friction between tires and road. Just because of friction between tires and road, the velocity gradually decreases. The relative velocity gradually decreases and it comes to rest. Here also the same thing. There is some relative velocity between adjacent layers, and because of force of friction, here the force of friction is called viscosity. So because of viscosity force, the relative velocity cannot be maintained. The flow comes to rest. Here also, just like this vehicle, after some time, the flow comes to rest. If you don't want that, if you want the flow to be flowing steadily, here what you have to do? Here you have here the combustion of fuel, and you must apply some force. By making use of fuel, you apply some force, and that force is just to overcome the force of friction. To maintain the velocity, you have to apply some force, and that force is just to overcome the force of friction. Here also, some force is required to overcome the force of viscosity. And here let us consider another point also. While applying Bernoulli's principle, we assumed that the flowing of the fluid is ideal, ignoring the internal resistance of the fluid. This internal resistance of the fluid that obstructs the flow is called viscosity. But all real fluids have some viscosity. To maintain the flow of a viscous fluid, we have to apply an external force against the viscous forces. The pressure difference between 2 points of a tube is necessary to maintain the fluid flow. We know already a fluid, whether it is air, whether it is gas or liquid, It flows from high pressure area to low pressure area. It flows as long as only there is pressure difference. If there is no pressure difference, fluid doesn't flow from one place to another place. So, if you want the fluid to flow, pressure difference must be maintained. This property of a fluid which opposes the relative motion between different layers is called viscosity. This is the internal resistance of friction. This is the internal resistance of friction exhibited between the layers of a fluid. Liquids such as kerosene, alcohol, water, etc., which flow easily are said to be mobile, while liquids like tar, glycerine, honey, etc., which do not flow readily, are said to be viscous. It means so far we have discussed about the force of viscosity which opposes relative motion between two layers of a fluid. But now when we have given different examples, we say these are mobile, these are viscous. It means different liquids are having have different force of friction between the layers. So now we want to measure how much viscous a given liquid is. We want to measure its viscous nature. So for that we define another physical quantity called coefficient of viscosity. So now let us derive an expression for this. Now let us consider two adjacent layers which are at a distance of delta y. This is moving with velocity speed v and this is moving with speed v plus delta v. So now this is moving with lower velocity and this is moving with slightly higher velocity. So this tries to decrease its velocity by applying some force in opposite direction. And since this force is parallel to the surface, this force is called shear force. And this shear force is, see, according to Newton, according to Newton, the shear force applied by this layer is directly proportional to area of the layer. See, this layer is having area A and this layer also having area A. So this is directly proportional to A. And also this is directly proportional to velocity gradient. Combining these two, we can write as A into delta V by delta Y, or F is equal to some constant of proportionality where the constant of proportionality eta is called as coefficient of viscosity. Here we put minus sign here because fluid is moving to right hand side and force of viscosity is working to left hand side. It always works in opposite direction to the flow speed. To indicate that, we put here minus sign. So now to define coefficient of viscosity, let us make it subject F by A into delta V by delta Y. say this is 3A and this is 3B. Now if you want to define eta, what all you have to do is to make the numerator physical quantity is equal to 1. So let me write here, if A is equal to 1 and delta V by delta Y is equal to 1, then eta becomes equal to F. Now we can prepare definition for coefficient of viscosity. We can define this how when the area of the fluid layer is 1 between two layers, between two adjacent layers, which are having 1 meter square area and the velocity gradient unit velocity gradient and unit area. Now we are considering these two fluid layers. Now its area 1 meter square, its area 1 meter square, and the distance between the the velocity gradient between these two layers is unit. Then the viscous force expressed between these two layers is equal to the coefficient of viscosity. In that way we measure the coefficient of viscosity for a given liquid. Once let us see the definition for coefficient of viscosity. The coefficient of viscosity is defined as the tangential force, or you can say shear force, per unit area of the layer required to maintain unit velocity gradient. So this is one way of getting expression for coefficient of viscosity, and we can obtain expression for coefficient of viscosity in another method also. Let us see that method. In the previous lesson, that is mechanical properties of solids, we discussed shear stress and shear strain. When we applied shear force or tangential force, means force parallel to the surface. See here, solid cube is taken, downward face is fixed, and tangential force is applied on the upper surface. Then it has undergone shear strain. See, its shape has changed. It has undergone a displacement, linear displacement of delta x. It's see this here. So here the vertical face has undergone an angular displacement theta or linear displacement delta x. Here also delta x, here also delta x, here also delta x. Volume doesn't change, just its shape changes. So this is shear strain. But here in case of solids, this shear strain produced is defined as delta x by L. Here the linear displacement divided by the distance, perpendicular distance between the two faces. So here in this way shear strain is defined in case of solids. But now we are discussing fluids, and here let us see here in the textbook diagram you can see clearly. This is a bottom glass plate. On that some liquid, say oil or glycerin or honey, such fluid is kept on the glass plate, and on that another glass plate is kept. Initially the fluid element was between the dotted lines. it was its side view was a rectangle. The bottom glass plate is held fixed, and the upper glass, and we have applied tangential force on the upper glass plate, so that the upper glass plate moves with constant velocity. So when it was moved, see, it assumed a parallelogram shape. See, this face, this face has undergone an angular displacement. This face came here. So there is a linear displacement of delta x. Here also, from here to here, here to here, there is linear displacement. So this is nothing but shear strain. But since this glass plate is continuously moving with constant velocity, here the linear displacement increases with time. That means in case of fluids, this delta x value is not constant. It changes, it increases with time. Only the perpendicular distance between the two faces, that is L, is constant, but delta x is moving, and it is increasing with time. In case of solids, the displacement is fixed. So here, while getting expression for elastic moduli, how we approach it here, shear stress is directly proportional to shear strain, and this is replaced with a constant of proportionality, and that constant of proportionality is called as shear modulus. So now coming to our fluids, we cannot write like this, shear stress directly proportional to shear strain, because here shear strain is not constant, it is increasing with time. So here, instead of shear strain, for fluids we take shear strain rate. So for fluids, we say shear stress is directly proportional to shear strain rate. Shear strain rate. See, shear stress means force by area. Area means this face area, this face area. Here, this fluid also having some, here fluid is composed of horizontal layers placed one over another, and that layer area here this. So shear stress is equal to force by area and directly proportional to strain rate. Now first let us write strain. Strain means delta x by L. Delta x by L. For solids, this displacement is fixed, but for fluids, this displacement increases with time. Therefore, here instead of shear strain, we take here shear strain rate. So shear strain means delta x by L. Rate means this divided by time. This divided by time. Now, so replacing this with delta x by L, here eta, and here 1 by delta t. But here this is constant of proportionality, and delta x by delta t, this gives, see, delta x is horizontal displacement and time. So displacement by time gives velocity, and that is nothing but velocity of the upper glass plate or velocity of the upper fluid layer. So delta x by delta t is V by L. So now let us make eta subject. or eta is equal to F by A into L by V. Or we can write F by A into, let us take write this L as denominator to this denominator. Right. So now let us compare this expression with the previous arrived expression, whether both indicate the same thing or different. Let us see. Now let us compare the both expressions. See, here tangential force, here tangential force. Here area of the fluid layer, here area of the fluid layer. Here for the two consecutive layers, this indicates the velocity difference, and this indicates the distance between the layers. So here also the same thing, because here the lower glass plate is held fixed and the upper glass plate is moving with velocity v. Lower liquid layer is at 0 velocity, upper liquid layer has v velocity. So the difference between the two layers is v. V minus 0 means v. Okay. Now in the denominator, distance between the two layers. So here this is the one layer considered, this is another layer considered. The distance between the two layers is L. So the L is written here. So both expressions are one and the same. So now let us find its SI unit. See, in the numerator we have force, therefore force is measured in newtons. Here area, so meter square. Here velocity, so meter per second. And here displacement, distance, therefore meter. Meter gets cancelled. So Newton by meter square. This second comes to the numerator. So Newton second meter power minus 2. So this is the SI unit for coefficient of viscosity. Coefficient of viscosity. Now if we want dimensional formula, here for force we have ml t power minus 2, area L square, velocity L by t, and displacement L. L and L gets cancelled. Here one L, here one L gets cancelled. So M L inverse, t comes to the numerator, 1 minus 2, t minus 1. So this is the dimensional formula. Now okay, now again coming to the unit. See, this is the SI unit, and this is this in the name of a Pauli scientist, this is made equal to PL. See, previously while considering the pressure, 1 Newton per meter square, that was taken as 1 Pascal. Just like that, 1 Newton second per meter square can be taken as 1 Pauli. And now let us consider CGS unit also. CGS unit. CGS unit is poise. CGS unit is poise. And this is 1 by 10th of 1 Pauli. Or 1 by 10 into 1 Newton second meter per minus 2. That means or you can write 1 Newton second meter per minus 2 is equal to 10 pies. In this way also we can say. Generally, thin liquids like water, alcohol, etc. are less viscous than thick liquids like coal, tar, blood, glycerin, etc. The coefficients of viscosity for some common fluids are listed in table 11.2. Let us see. See, water viscosity is just 1.0 at 20 degrees centigrade, and at 100 degrees centigrade only 0.3, very low value. When you go for blood at 37 degrees centigrade, it is having 2.7, and machine oil 130, at 38 degrees centigrade 34, glycerin at 20 degrees centigrade 830, largest of all the liquids given here. Glycerin viscosity is higher than even honey. You know, honey is very viscous liquid, but glycerin is more viscous than honey. See, honey is just 200, whereas glycerin is 830, and air, so almost 0.017, and at 40 degrees centigrade 0.019. These are the values. Now we consider variation of viscosity of fluids with temperature. Let us look at the graph. Variation of viscosity of the liquid with temperature. See, as temperature increases, the viscosity is decreasing, and this is for liquids. So why? The reason is, as temperature increases, the distance between the molecules increases. See, you already know, if you take a liquid and you heat it, it expands. A liquid expands. Expansion means what? Distance between the molecules increase. And if the distance between the molecules increases, then force of attraction between the molecule decreases. Since the force of the cohesive force decreases, then the viscous force also decreases. That's why coefficient of viscosity decreases. Viscosity of liquids decreases with temperature. The reason is, when temperature increases, the distance between the molecules increase, then the cohesive force between the layers decreases. If the cohesive force decreases, the viscous force required also decreases. That's why eta value decreases. Here, viscosity of gases increase with temperature. If temperature increases, viscosity of gases increase. The reason is, see, when temperature increases, see, this layer will have some mass. This layer, this layer of fluid molecules will have some mass, say m, and its velocity v1. We are taking layers of same area, therefore mass also will be same, and this layer molecules are having velocity v2. So this is p1, momentum. This layer is having momentum p2. Momentum means mass into velocity. This layer momentum is p1 is equal to mv1. This layer momentum is p2 is equal to mv2. So when temperature increases, the momentum transfer increases. The momentum transfer increases. Therefore, the coefficient of viscosity increases. Now let us consider variation of coefficient of viscosity with temperature. The main cause for the presence of viscosity in liquids is the cohesive forces between the molecules. The cohesive forces in a gas are very small. Okay, first let us consider liquids only. First liquids. And first let us consider liquid. So this is one layer, this is another layer. Suppose temperature increases, the distance between the layers increased. The force of attraction, see, when the layers were closer together, the cohesive force means force of attraction between like molecules. The force of the cohesive force will be naturally more here. But when temperature increases, the distance increased. So when distance increased, the cohesive force decreases. So cohesive force decreased means the opposing viscosity force also decreases. Here more force is needed to stop the upper layer, but here that much force is not required, because here the force of attraction between the two layers is decreased. Therefore, small amount of viscous force is enough. That's why we get the coefficient of viscosity also lower value we get. In that way, coefficient of viscosity decreases with temperature in liquids. Now let us go for gases. See what he says there. In a liquid, the molecules are nearby. So there exists force of attraction between them. But when you consider a gas, the gas molecules are far apart compared to liquid. The gas molecules are far away. So the force of attraction between gas molecules are not consider worthy. We should not consider the force of attraction between gas molecules, because the distance will be more. So that's why here we consider momentum. This layer of air having how much momentum, this layer of air having how much momentum, like that, because the air molecules move continuously in different directions. They undergo collisions among themselves and collisions with the walls. In that way, let us once look at here. The cohesive forces in a gas are very small. Due to the collisions among the molecules, there will be net transfer of momentum. See once again, due to the collisions among the molecules, there will be net transfer of momentum from layers moving with greater velocity to those layers which move with lower velocity. This momentum transfer is the primary cause of viscosity in gases. The exchange of momentum increases as the temperature increases, and therefore the viscosity of gases increase as the temperature increases. So what he said, in case of gases, the molecules undergo collisions, and see, due to the collisions among the molecules, there will be net transfer of momentum. Due to the collisions among the molecules, there will be net transfer of momentum from layers moving with greater velocity to those layers moving with lower velocity. So there is a net transfer of momentum from this layer to this layer. This momentum transfer is the primary cause of viscosity in gases. The exchange of momentum increases as the temperature increases, and therefore the viscosity of gases increase as the temperature increases. So here you already know the Newton's second law. What is the Newton's second law? Force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. If momentum transfer increases, force increases. So that is viscous force increases. That's why coefficient of viscosity increases. See here a table, two examples are taken. Water, it is a liquid. As temperature is 200 to 500, 1000, as temperature increased, its coefficient of viscosity is decreasing. And when you go for air, as the temperature is increasing, its coefficient of viscosity is increasing.